fan of softball, then you are going to love the Fastpitch TV show. We're bringing you more interviews, more videos, and more product reviews than anyone else on the planet. Sit back and get ready. Here's the Fastpitch TV show.
Hello and welcome to the Fastpitch TV show. I'm your host, Gary Leland. Now this week I bring you the... Hello and welcome to the Fastpitch TV show. I'm your host, Gary Leland. Now I bring you this show every week, usually on Fridays. Now if you found our show on Facebook, YouTube, Apple TV, check out our website at fastpitch.tv. It's the place to find our show every Friday. It's the home of the Fastpitch TV network and the place to find all my softball video channels and blogs. It's basically a network for Fastpitch softball, if you would. Now, please check it out, okay? Now, if you're a regular viewer of this show, you know I'm a big fan of Softball Con. Softball Con's held every January in Louisville, Kentucky, and if you're not familiar with Softball Con, please go to their website at softballcon.net and check it out today. You'll be glad you did. Now, this week I'm bringing you part 2 of a great clinic with the University of Kentucky Associate Head Coach Kristine Himes. Now, the title of her clinic is Don't Get Caught with Your Head in the Sand, a look at situational coaching. Now, if you've not seen part 1 yet, you might want to go take a look at episode 211 before watching this episode, and I'll bring you her clinic right after this word from my sponsor.
Do you need a softball bat? Do you want to save $30? SoftballJunk.com is offering an additional $30 discount off the price of all non-sale softball bats on their website. That's right, $30. So the next time you buy a bat, go to softballjunk.com and enter the code FPTV30 during checkout, and wham! You just put a cool $30 in your pocket.
Spray hitting is one of my favorite drills, and it's something working mechanically, barrel control, without having to have that conversation with your kids. Spray hitting. So go onto the field. Most likely this is where we like to do everything on the field. I will preface all of this. As much as you can get your athletes out to hit in the weather, on the field, long. Okay, long tees, long cages, back it up so they can hit as long as possible. Because many of you, I'll explain why. Probably 4 years ago now, we had the, January, we're getting inside too. Our cages probably aren't much longer than past the pitcher. Got it? But our kids are drilling line drives to the back of the cage. Yeah, feel good, coach, feel good. Hey, you do realize when we go to the field, you're not even hitting it to the grass, right? Yeah, they don't, it's not, again, I don't know if that's a women thing or what, but I don't know, you just gotta, okay? Long, spray hitting. So when we go out onto the field, if we're gonna spray hit this day, we're gonna start, so it doesn't matter righty, lefty, you're gonna start one way, get them across, and then you're gonna come back. So we're gonna start in the dugout, okay? Because we faced Stacy Nelson, and it was a lot of screwball, screwball, screwball. How do you get rid of it? 2 strikes, get rid of it, okay? Into the dugout. Then we're gonna go down the line, okay? This can be on the ground, and I tried to cipher, but I didn't give you a key. So dots with straight lines can be ground balls or hard shots, okay? Then we're gonna go 3-4 hole, okay, on the ground, okay, like hit and runs, okay, on the ground. We're gonna go left center gap, okay, left center gap, and it's gotta be in the air. This has gotta be a hard shot, whether it's a sack fly situation or just 2 outs and you need that runner just to drive the ball. We're gonna go up the middle. It can be on the ground or in the air, line drive, just something up the middle. We're going to right center gap again, okay? And again, this is simply working barrel control, pitch selection, okay? This particular drill works a lot of things all in one. Now the key is you can do this off of a machine or off of a front toss, okay? Our kids prefer front toss because they move the ball for them. Okay, with the machine, your athlete's going to have to adjust in the box, which that's key too, because again, depending on the game or who's pitching, that's an adjustment you might have to make in the game. So off of the machine, your athlete will just have to adjust themselves. Front toss, the front tosser probably adjust for them, okay? So right center gap, we're gonna go 3-4 hole. Oh my, that was a 5-6 hole, I think I said 3-4, apologize. We're gonna go 3-4 hole now on the ground again, okay? This is, again, runner on second, all you need is a ball through the infield to score her, this is it, okay? Or runner on first, and we'll get to this later, you've already tried to sack one twice and fouled them off, you got 2 strikes on, now you gotta just move that runner from first to second. Okay, then we're going to go down the line again on the ground or a hard hit or something in the air deep. And then lastly, foul it back off into the other dugout. Okay, once you do this, well, this might take a while. Got it? This might take a while, and you can manipulate this however you see fit. There are days we don't go into the dugouts. Okay, they don't always need to, but it's good for 2 strikes. 2-strike hitting. Get rid of the ball. They've got to figure out how to get rid of the ball too. So once they get one way, we often go back the other direction. Okay, so that's spray hitting. Go ahead, Mom. As far as in-game adjustments, they're just small adjustments to the original plan. Okay, the original plan has got to be key. But these are going to be small adjustments whether you show up to the field or after a couple of innings. How does the field play? Is it hard? Is it soft? Did it rain? A lot of us don't have tarps, okay? Did it rain? Now your infield soft. Slappers, okay? Not going to chop that day, might as well bunt. You can even hit, the ball's going to stay low, that kind of thing, okay? What are the field dimensions? What are the ground rules? I think ground rules is key too from the standpoint of defensively and offensively. You don't want to get to a catch and carry kind of situation. So if you know the ground rules, you can tell your athletes what to catch and what not to catch. As far as field dimensions, definitely how you run the bases. As soon as that ball gets through, how far is it going to roll? Okay, you definitely know the grass too, whether it's thick, whether it's definitely going to hit, or if it's fast outfield. Which way does the sun set? I know, funny, right? Game day, it depends, I guess, in the season, but definitely game day, the wind blows out left field, and the sun sets about 3 o'clock right in the shortstop side. Got it? So you need to practice in certain situations so they get adjusted to it, okay? You need to know those things. Also, manipulate your situations during the game too. You know they can't see, hit and run, or bunt, knowing that they've got something that's distracting them. Wind blow, we cover that. It blows out. We should only recruit right-handed power hitters. It's just every day. What is the rebound off of the backstop? Okay, you have to know this again. When you have a run on 30, 60 feet, which way? If that ball's going to hit and stick, runner. If it's going to hit and dart, runner. If it's going to hit and go right back to the catcher, get a good lead, see if the catcher can handle it. Makes sense? But I think that's a key that we don't often take into consideration. But when you get that runner 60 feet, we got to figure out any way we can to get her home. Again, same idea, off the fence, whether it's a wall, whether it's wood, whether it's the fencing, padding, whatever. We need to know how it's going to bounce off. And again, that's also so the hitter who becomes the runner can read that herself. If it's going to hit and it's going to roll a long way, she's got to keep running. And that's a lot of the situations then that they take that decision out of your hand. They can just keep running themselves. Again, early in the game versus late in the game. It's going to depend on the score or our opponent. In particular situations, whether it's any SEC, Alabama, Florida, Michigan last year at the regional, we have to make sure that we have enough runs that if they got a hold of one pitch with bases loaded, they can't beat us. Okay, so those are all things we have to take into consideration. Where you are in the lineup, that's also key to what you're going to try to accomplish that inning. The situation, the outs, the count, all that good stuff is going to play in each pitch that we try to manipulate the situation for our athletes. Good. Base coach responsibilities. I actually think we create the 10th or 11th or 11th or 12th, depending on how you write your lineup, man on the field for us. Okay, and some of your umpires might play that. We've run into that at Marshall. It's usually 11 against 9. It's key for what we do on the bases. We're not just pawns who stand out there. And I know possibly some of you have to have athletes who go out to first base. I'm not quite sure. But I think it's still key to teach them what to do, because then when they're the base runner, they also know what to look for. Know your responsibilities. And I think ultimately our responsibility is, again, to put our athletes in the best offensive situation possible for them to succeed and for the team to succeed. Okay? No other fielders are setting up. That's all fielders, outfield and infield. And I think as base coaches, sometimes we forget what's happening out here. Probably many of what everybody else says too. Got it? But we have to position ourselves so that we can see the whole field. And that includes first base, and I think that was key. And we probably wanted to kick Molly in the butt a few times too. It's key. You can't be caught up in the moment. And the first base coach actually has a lot more responsibility. They don't give the signs, but they have to keep track of everybody else so the third base coach can focus. Got it? Because most of our third base coaches are the head coach. Got it? So your first base coach actually is responsible for everything else. Okay? What is the scenario? Because our athletes don't always understand situations, but if we know the opposing coach, the opposing players, the opposing catcher, if they're going to pick that athlete off, then we can remind them, hey, get a good lead, but get back. Got it? Hey, get a good lead, but get back. Hey, get a good lead, and if she throws this way, take off. Got it? Those are things that we have to remind our athletes to do. Again, know your batter base runner. Know who can get the good lead and get back in time, and know who shouldn't. Anticipate. We have to see the play happen before it happens. Okay, and I think the more that we can do that, and the more that we can communicate with our athletes on the bases, the better they're going to get. Positioning. I think this is key. For us, we'd like to pick off on the first base coach. If they're standing again with their back in front of the base, we can pick off because that base runners, they're keeping track of the catcher. They're not keeping track of anybody else. So as far as the first base coach, you got to open up so you can see everybody. Okay, because most often, if they're going to pick off at first, it's with the second baseman, and they're going to be breaking on the pitch anyway. So it's easy to try to save your runner. Again, with position, so for a pickoff, you can see everything and not to get drilled by a foul ball, and I think that's key. We like to just get skinny, so all we have to do is just dodge one way. You stand this way, and then you got to figure out, oh, do I go this way because it's going to hook this way, or do we just take it? And I think that's key too, especially with losing a few coaches that way. The signs, and I like my little man over here. We've got to make them challenging enough that your athlete doesn't feel like you're just fun. Got it? Let them have the challenge of trying to read signs, but not make them confusing enough that it's distracting, that they always feel like they can't understand it. And I think the other key too is we don't have to give signs in between every pitch. Okay? And we develop our signs so that if I've given a sign, the base runner for some reason didn't get it, she can turn to Molly and ask Molly what was it, and Molly can give her numbers. So maybe 1 is a sack, maybe 2 is a steal, 3 is a hit and run. So we work it out that way so that there doesn't have to be a lot of communication for her to remind that athlete what it was. Okay, so signs or whatever you want to make them, just make them challenging enough that 1, they feel good when they get it, they can execute it, but 2, that they're not distracting to them. Another thing about signs, again, they don't have to happen between every pitch. The hit sign is always on, technically, okay? So I think we've got to help them discover, too, what the offensive strategy is. If they're trying to move runners, then they know when to look for a sign. But don't make it, we just can't make it so they're relying on us to reaffirm everything. And we can if you've got a hitter who needs that. Okay, I've got hitters who like to swing the rice ball, so I like to tell them, hey man, look low. Got it? We figure out things that we can reaffirm with them, again, to go back to the plan. I don't want you to, look low, buddy. You're gonna, everything above that elbow, you're gonna let go. So we have a few things to just remind them what their plan is in the box.
Have you heard about the great softball coaches clinic that Fastpitch TV is hosting? They have a great lineup of speakers, including softball pitching great Kat Osterman. See all the speakers at www.fastpitch.tv/clinic. I'm sure this clinic's gonna sell out quick, so get your ticket today.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of Coach Himes' clinic. Now make sure and come back next week for part 3 of her clinic. Now if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you need to look at all the apps today that I've created for those devices. At this time, I've created 8 different apps for the iPhone and iPads. Just go to app.fastpitch.tv. Now don't forget to check out our new video skills channel at coacheslook.com. It's a great way for high school players to get noticed by college coaches, and it's free. Wow, it's free. What about that? Now, that's the best part of all, I'd have to say. Until next week, this is Gary Leland saying goodbye, and thanks for watching.
This show is a member of the Fastpitch TV network.